Hi, everyone, and welcome to our motivational talk on learning how to take care of your mental health during the COVID-19 crisis. I want to thank all of you all for joining today based on the registrations we've received. I know it's late for a lot of you, but you've still taken the time to join us here, and so thank you so much for that. We have with us today Dr. Eva Pluchenka. Thank you so much for joining us, Eva, and for making the time for this. I feel it's important to acknowledge that this talk is coming at a really important time when a lot of us are really impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm sure a lot of the attendees as well will agree that it's really impacted our lives in so many ways and even probably changed what we used to know as our normal life, for lack of a better term. Some of us might be at home, away from our loved ones. We're worried about safety. Some of us might be worried about our employment status, or we might be, adjusting to a new virtual setting of work, which we might not be used to. And I feel all of this really has been piling up and resulting in more stress and more anxiety than a lot of us might be used to. And so I really want to thank you for really making the time for this and being here to give us that gentle reminder that we all need to be a little kinder to ourselves and to really take care of ourselves while we deal with this overwhelming crisis. All right, a little bit about me. So my name is Andrea, and I'm part of the community engagement team at Editage Insights, which is a knowledge and it's a knowledge and experience sharing platform for researchers globally. And I'm also currently managing the Cactus Global Survey on Mental Health in Academia. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. That's my Twitter handle right there, and you should feel free to follow me. I mentioned Editage Insights, and that's part of Cactus Communications, which is a scholarly communications company. And we've been around for over 17 years. And we have a global presence with offices in various locations across the globe. And we've been interacting with researchers all of these years. Essentially, we try to help them navigate their academic journeys, and we try to help them succeed in various aspects of their career, be it publication or post-publication, research communication, and several other aspects. Coming back to Editage Insights, I already mentioned that it's our knowledge and experience sharing community of researchers. And it's basically, so I like to think of it as a safe space where researchers can come to learn, to communicate with each other, to share their experiences, and also to develop skills that they might be looking to develop. So we have this in 4 languages, and if you're looking for any publication-related queries, if you're looking to clarify them, you should feel free to explore our resources on publication, or you could even visit our Q&A forum and post specific questions if you feel like you can't find something that you're looking for. And we also have the community section on which you should feel free to share your personal stories and experiences. And I'm sure you'll find a lot of other researchers who are going through similar experiences, and they'll really be supportive of what you're going through. So Cactus has really been trying to help researchers deal with this current situation that we're in various ways. For instance, we've been offering pro bono academic editing services and several other services. And we've also launched an AI-powered website, which essentially it keeps researchers updated on various COVID-related research as it comes out. And we're also hoping to crowdsource any answers to questions that researchers might have. If you look at the slide, there's a lot more details about this. So given all of this, we still felt that our efforts to help researchers cope with this situation would not be complete if we didn't address how this crisis has impacted their mental health and well-being. And that's actually one of the reasons why we reached out to Eva and we decided to have a talk on such a topic as today. Another reason why we're focusing on mental health and researcher well-being is because, as I mentioned before, we are running a global survey on mental health in academia. The survey is called Joy and Stress Triggers, and we already have over 7,000 people taking the survey, over 7,000 researchers and academics have taken the survey so far. And I really feel that at a time like this, when the world is looking at researchers to sort of shepherd us out of this crisis and fix this whole situation, I'm sure that researchers have never felt more stressed or anxious and pressured than they do right now. And so I feel it's never been more important than now to focus on their mental health and talk about the kind of support that they deserve and should be receiving, which unfortunately is not too much. So you should feel free. So you'll find a button on your screens that says take the survey. And don't take it now. We can wait until the end of the webinar, but that button will continue to be there. And we'd love to hear your views and have you join this movement so that we can actually push for change and create a more nurturing environment, which is more favorable and supportive of researchers. So coming to researchers feeling more stressed and more anxious than ever, we thought that this would be a great time for them to have all kinds of motivation. And so one of our most recent projects is actually a crowdsourced motivational calendar. And each motivational quote has been actually given to us by a researcher, and who better to motivate researchers than their fellow researchers who understand the kinds of challenges they've been going through. So there's one for each day of the year. So you should really feel free to subscribe and receive your daily motivation in your inbox. Apart from this, we also have Researcher Voice, which is a support group on Facebook, and we have over 1,000. We have over 1,000 community members already, and coincidentally, the group is where I got to meet Eva and interact with her. So really, I feel you'll really find that the group is a great source of support and a great opportunity for you to interact with researchers across the globe and share experiences, offer advice, and anything that you can think of in just interacting with researchers from different parts of the globe. All right, coming to Eva, I'm really, I feel really great that I've got this opportunity to introduce her. And I'm really happy that she took the time to do this with us today. So a little bit about Eva. She is a neuroscientist, psychologist, and she has a PhD degree in cognitive psychology, and she's also done postdoctoral work in psychology and human neuroscience. So I can't think of anyone better to give us advice on how to tackle some of the problems we are going through today. Right from the first conversation I had with Eva, she told me that she was always passionate about helping her colleagues deal with their own problems and challenges. And it's something that you could call it her true calling, and which she was really passionate about. And so she launched PhD Success, which is an online platform dedicated to mental health and well-being for PhD candidates. And I found it really inspiring that Eva said it's perfect because it helps her combine her passion for helping people and her psychology expertise, and also her passion for contributing to science. And she really hopes to create a happier and healthier research environment for researchers through this work. Okay, Eva, over to you. You guys should feel free to keep posting questions in the chat, and at the end, we'll have Eva answer them. All right, Eva, over to you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Andrea. Thank you so much for this invitation, and thank you to entire Editage and Cactus Communication for inviting me. I am very happy to contribute to those actions related to mental health and well-being of researchers, especially now in the current COVID-19 crisis. I would also like to warmly welcome all the participants. I see in the chat all the good mornings, good afternoons, good evenings. I even saw in Polish, dzień dobry. So, dzień dobry, welcome everyone. I'm very excited to have you here. And just to know who is actually there, I would like to ask you to answer a quick poll to tell me at what stage of your research you are. So there is a quick poll, have a look at it. So we have, all right. And so maybe just in the meantime, while you're taking the poll, Andrea already introduced me, so what else can I say? Maybe just the fact that I'm defining myself as a psychologist passionate about science, and I really love helping scientists overcome their academic struggles so they can be more successful and really purely enjoy their research. And so today, in this talk, it will be based on my knowledge in psychology, but also based on the experience that I have consulting with the researchers and especially with the PhD students. So we have now quite some answers, and I see that there are undergraduate students, so great that you're here, great that you're interested and preparing, PhD students, early career researchers, and mid-senior career researchers. Well, once again, welcome everyone, and I'm very happy to have you here. Right, so today's webinar will be about how to deal with mental health during COVID-19 crisis, and in particular, I will be speaking about stress, as this is underlining many other processes such as anxiety, such as feeling overwhelmed, and so on. So first, I will explain you the mechanism of stress. Then we will go more in depth to the stress in COVID-19, and finally, we will speak about the ways to overcome it, or first of all, to control our stress and then to overcome it. So let's dive to it. So first of all, well, overall, usually we tend to think that stress is something negative, but purely from the biological point of view, actually stress is something positive. It is something good. It is meant to increase our ability to survive. And you can see it on the example of a zebra walking in a savanna, right? And then she sees a very hungry lion, and then she thinks, all right, troubles, what should I do? And this is purely the situation of stress. And so this situation of stress will provoke a series of changes on the cognitive, so on the intellectual level, on the emotional level, and also on the physiological level. Now, how is it for humans? Well, it is pretty much the same. If the girl is walking in savannah and she sees the lion, the same changes will occur. So there will be cognitive changes, meaning that we will be more attentive, able to think faster, to take decisions faster, emotional changes. So we will be able either to fight, so feel more courageous, or we will feel scared and ready to run. And then the physiological changes, well, we will feel very often like energized, warm, and also physically ready to action. Now, one of the major difference with the animals is that we are able to be stressed about things that do not represent the real threat to our life, a real danger, okay? So a classical situation for that would be, for example, a presentation. This is something I think many researchers are stressed about, and that has been also a very big challenge for me for years. And even now, I have to say that I'm a little bit stressed. So what is happening in the situation of stress when, let's imagine, when we need to give an academic presentation? Well, first of all, there will be this stage of evaluating. So we will ask ourselves a certain number of questions, like, how important is this presentation? How many people will be there? Who are those people? Would that impact my future? And then, according to those answers, we will prepare ourselves. Okay, so we will definitely prepare ourselves differently if it is our PhD defense, or if it's just a small presentation among the peers in your lab. So this is the response stage. So accordingly to the situation, our response will be different. And then yet another very important difference that we have with the stress, with the animal stress, is that we are able to be stressed about future, so project ourselves in future. And again, the classical example of that could be, oh my God, my defense is in 3 months, okay? And the stress that we are actually making to ourselves just by our thinking creates the same or very similar changes on the cognitive, emotional, and physiological level, okay? So something that was happening to me very often was that when I was doing my PhD, for example, I tend to plan my week. So Sunday evening, I was checking everything, what I had to do the following week, and very often it was getting me so stressed that the following night I couldn't sleep, even though there were no really like deadlines or serious thing, but it was more the amount of it. So you see, this is like purely conceptual stress. So this is all about the mechanism of stress. So 2 things I want you to remember about it. It is one, it is the behavior, it is the process that we have in order to survive. And second thing, it is a very adaptive process. It is there to help us survive and to help to adapt to the environment. So now going to the mechanism of stress during COVID crisis, well, before I even start talking about it, I would like to ask you, how do you perceive this, this period? How did COVID crisis affected you? So there is another pool, and there are 5 answers. Very stressed and anxious, stressed and anxious, a bit worried, pretty worried. It has had no impact on me. So let's see the answers. All right, so so I see that many of you have been stressed, anxious, a bit worried. There are also some that said that they are very stressed and very anxious. And actually very few people said that it had no impact on them. So you see, overall, the COVID-19 situation had impact on us. And yes, it was stressful, it was anxious. Now, let's go to COVID-19. So now in this picture, I replaced I replaced the lion by COVID-19. So this is a potential danger. And the first difficulty that we have here is how to evaluate this danger. So what is the COVID-19? How does it look? How dangerous it is? Is it true? So the evaluation of the threat was very difficult. And already at this stage, there were several processes that were going on. So first of all, the difficulty of evaluating the situation, right? We need to be prepared for the danger. And so what comes from it is that many people tried to look for the information themselves. They were following media. They were following different sources. They were comparing the information. Some developed even a media addiction, okay? So it was like a constant confrontation to negative and confusing information, okay? Which may lead actually to overwhelm, to anxiety, and also to the feeling of constant danger, because there is a danger, right? So when there is a danger, like when we are seeing a lion, like we want to react. We know that our attention has to be focused there. So this feeling of danger also creates anxiety. And then the other thing is also like the state of alert. So implicitly our attention always go to where the danger is, like to better evaluate it and to see how to react. And this was also a case in this time, like we were very alert, like looking at, so this again, that can create anxiety, but also can have impact on other things, like more physiological things, like sleeping disorders, for example, or eating disorders. Now, if we look at the stage of adaptation, all right, so we had problem evaluating the danger. Now, on the level of adapting to the danger, well, how can we do it? Well, so the question is, what is the appropriate response? How should I react to it? Okay, for example, should I wear a mask or not? Should I go out or not? Should I see my elderly mother or not? Should I send my children to school or not? So there were constantly on the daily level a series of decisions that we had to take. So it seems that it's like small decisions, but that have a vital impact, okay? And so that creates a lot of doubts, a lot of anxiety, and the same can result in the anxiety. Yet another problem was that we had a lot of misinformation around COVID-19, all right? So for example, here in France, where I'm based, at the beginning, we were told that masks are not helping anyone. Well, now we're all more or less obliged to wear them. Different countries in Europe had different policies, and we knew about it. So we were also wondering what is wrong, what is right, and what is wrong. And yes, and sometimes I think also governments committed some mistakes. So there was a lot of confusion around the information that was given to people. And some of the people, we also lost trust in in the information we are giving, also maybe in the authorities, how they handle the situation. So we lost the sort of security that we all have as citizens of a given country, okay? And yet another thing is that we don't have a former experience of that situation. Usually, it is very adaptive to benefit from the previous experience, okay? So if I'm giving now a webinar, well, it will help me if I had given already 10 webinars before, okay? So this is it. So if we have gone through the similar pandemic situation, well, we would be able to maybe anticipate it, maybe know ourselves better in such situation. So again, like the answer to that will be a lot of doubts, a lot of uncertainty, also confusion. And that can go actually both ways. So anxiety, but also sometimes lack of motivation, like, okay, so what to do? Well, don't know. And so here we are getting to this appropriate response level. So as you can imagine, we had problems with evaluation of the danger, with adaptation. So what is the response? Well, naturally, in the situation of danger, like when we see the lion, we are made to react, right? Well, now what they are telling us is stay safe, stay home. So in other words, be passive. Come on, how difficult it is to be passive, okay? So our brain, our entire body is trying to react on it, okay? This is a natural defense process. But all we can do is actually stay at home. And also, this staying at home is a bit problematic because staying at home, well, what does it mean? It means that our working environment, our life environment has been also modified. So having habits, having places where we go regularly, that gives us a feeling of security. Those are the things that we know already. Okay, and now we are also out of our stable surrounding. Everything was new. So we cannot even benefit from this reassuring effect of the places we know, people we know, the routines we have. All right. And so that's just the change of the environment, your life environment, your working environment by itself, it can already lead to to stress, to passiveness, to lack of balance, either not working at all or working too much. Yet another problem, and that's that many of my clients told me that either they were asked by the institutions to perform as if nothing was happening. Okay, well, you're at home, you have your computer, you can work. Or on the contrary, they wanted to perform. They thought, okay, it's perfect, now I'm home, I don't have to go to the lab, I can truly focus on the literature and just write this article and have it done, right? Well, we have seen that it actually doesn't work like that, okay? The situation, the danger is somewhere out there. And we cannot pretend that there is nothing happening, okay? So how would it affect our performance? Well, first of all, we might have problems in staying concentrated. We might feel overwhelmed. We might also feel just lazy or postponing things because we have this notion like of endless time, especially if we cannot go out, for example. And yet, very important issue as well is our ability to worry for the future and to project ourselves in future. So, well, what about that? What can we do? What is the appropriate response to that? What will happen in future? What about my employment? What about my PhD? Like, would it be extended? Right? So there is also a lot of uncertainty, and I think that here as researchers we have a little bit of an advantage that we actually are regularly confronted to the uncertainty of employment, of where we will go for the postdoc, would our contract be extended, and so on. So we kind of developed already a coping strategies to deal with uncertainty, but still, I mean, probably now the uncertainty is really hitting us even more because we're concerned about our contracts, about our future, and also about our possibilities in the future. So then again, that brings us really to stress, to anxiety, and it can go both ways actually. So some people will be really like overworked, like we will be very stressed, they will be very hardworking, overworking, which can actually lead to a burnout, in order to prepare themselves, like to use this time maximum, okay? And on the other side, it can also go like, okay, I don't know anything, so I'm not doing anything. And that can actually result in the lack of motivation, procrastination, and so on. But again, uncertainty, it's also eating disorders, it's also sleeping disorders. So I hope, I think, and you will tell me that later, that you can maybe recognize yourself in some of those stages. So now, going to the advice part. Well, I will go once again stage by stage. All right. So at this evaluation level, where we are like looking for more and more information, I have impression that now we are a little bit over that, but still, please control your attention. Try to drive your attention to positive things. There is already enough of negativity. Try to focus on things that are pleasant for you and avoid this analysis, this media addiction, this checking, okay? It doesn't help. It just generates anxiety, it generates negative feelings and overwhelm. And we will never know 100%, okay? So as much as you can, try to keep your attention, direct your attention towards positive things. At the second stage, at the stage of adaptation, well, one thing I want to tell you is that there is no good or bad response, okay? You have to trust yourself and evaluate the situation according to yourself, to how you feel, how is your health, what is your personal situation. Maybe you're taking care of young children or an elderly person, okay? Maybe you have health issues. This is all very important, and so don't compare yourself with the others. react, do things that make you feel secure, regardless of what the others say. And then on the stage, response. So there, where we want to react and so on. Yes, I think that there is time now to react, but maybe react in a different way. So first of all, be kind to yourself. Acknowledge that this is a crisis. This is a global pandemic, okay? So you cannot pretend as if nothing was happening. In one way or another, it is affecting you, it is affecting us, okay? So you might not think about it consciously, but it's there. So be kind to yourself, be comprehensive to yourself. And also yet another thing, it is not a sprint that we are running now, okay? It's not a moment of acute stress now. It is a marathon. It's taking time. So you have to be resilient to stress over time. So be kind to yourself. And also, as it is a marathon, when we need to be well, we need to be well now. So even though there are a lot of worries for the future, and I completely understand that, you have to take care of yourself now. Because if you're well now and you're taking care of yourself now, once the situation will be better, you will be well and ready to react, okay? But if you're not well now, if you're not doing well now, it will not change with the end of pandemic. This is just the same as very often PhD students think, okay, I'm super stressed now, or I'm super anxious right now, but once my PhD is over, it will be all over. Well, no, the mental health, mental problems, mental issues don't work like that, okay? You need to develop the resilience to stress right now and focus on now. Don't add yourself extra purely conceptual worries. And here there is a little warning about that, okay? So stress is a continuum effect. When it's a normal stress, you could see it as a positive, encouraging friend that gives you energy, that boosts you to do things better, faster, take more decisions, be more performant, and so on. But on the other side, on the other extreme, it can be also like the worst enemy ever, destroying your efforts, okay? So you might feel really low energy, demotivated, paralyzed by stress, excessively stressed by the situations that are not really stressed, to the point that you will have headaches, you will have other physical responses. So you don't want that, okay? So if you have been suffering from all those already and you felt very anxious, worried, stressed by the situation right now, don't let it get to that extreme point. So the message here is really, don't stay alone. And if you feel like it, seek for help. And there are loads of great resources to help you. So as Andrea mentioned before, Editage and Cactus is offering a series of webinars and of resources for researchers where you can actually learn so much about mental health and also get support in other fields. Also the community. This is a very, very powerful tool of peer-to-peer support where actually peers, researchers, people that are going through the same situation of research challenges plus COVID challenges can help each other. And Cactus Foundation has one great community, PhD Success, which I'm a founder, also has a community, because I truly believe in this peer-to-peer support. And then there is also, if you need some extra, more tailored to your needs support, there is an individual help. So personally, within the PhD Success Actions, I was offering now during COVID-19 crisis, individual consultations, one hour for free, to help the researchers to overcome the situation. So if if you feel that you need help, just drop me a line, and I will answer to your email. And so, as it is the half an hour or 1 hour that I have is very, very short, well, I prepared some small exercise for you, so you can go more in depth to that. So, all right, you can download it. The link is also below, so you can check it before. So what is this exercise about? And this is also something you can just do on your own, is to identify stressful situations. What are the stressful situations for you at the different stages? Okay, so it can be professional, it can be family, it can be your ambitions. Okay, then analyze step by step your behavior and your emotions in each particular category. And then try to think how you react to the stressful situations. And very often you will see that you have already some implicit ways of reacting, okay? So those are called coping strategies. Those are our own natural ways that we developed with our life, with our experience, how to cope with stress and with stressful situations. So think of them, acknowledge them, and try to use them now. And yet, very important, don't stay alone. So that's it for me. Thank you very much for your attention. And I'm happy to answer your questions now. I hope we can have some discussion now.
Thank you, Ella. That was amazing. And I found myself even taking little notes while you were giving advice on how we can deal with this situation. And I'm sure the audience felt the same. We actually have received a lot of questions, but before we dive into that, if I could just talk about something that you mentioned. I love the fact that you brought out the aspect of figuring out what works for you as an individual during this time, and evaluating how you can help yourself or how you can deal with this. I've seen too many tweets on social media and too many posts in which people are saying that if you don't come out of this lockdown with a new skill, or having written a book or learned something phenomenal, then it means you have no discipline. And that honestly makes me so sad, because we're dealing with so much new, right, at the moment, and there's no manual for how to deal with a pandemic. And so I feel like the best thing that people can do right now is just be kind to themselves, as you said, and just figure out, evaluate how they can take care of themselves and what works best for them right now. And I really want to thank you for pointing that out and spreading that message. That I think that was really great. If we can dive into some of the questions right now, let me just pull them up for you. Just a second. So one of the questions is, how do I reduce anxiety associated with my long-term goals, specifically with loss of money and work during this pandemic?
Can you read the question again,
please?
Please?
It says, how do I reduce my anxiety associated with my long-term goals at the moment? And he's specifically referring to his loss of work in the future, as you said, or loss of financial aid from work in the future during this time.
Yes, I understand. So this is clearly the fact that you're projecting yourself in future. So this is worrying about future, right? Okay, so in this worry, I think you cannot do much about the situation right now, right? This is like your purely conceptual stress, but you cannot act on it now for that job. But what you can do right now is maybe try to focus on the positive thing. So maybe there are other steps that you can take right now, just in case. For example, maybe start networking online. There are many opportunities right now happening online. People are much more there, just in case. So that will give you a security that you're actually doing something in prevention, okay? Or look for maybe not another jobs yet, you know, because this is not the idea. It's not that you're over, like, hustle for it now, but focus more on the present, because maybe the decision of losing the job in the future, it doesn't really depend on you. But what depends on you is how you handle the situation right now and what you can do right now to anticipate it just in case.
Right. Thank you, Eva. Another really interesting question is, could I use the stress and anxiety that I'm experiencing right now as a positive driver? One of the things you mentioned. And this person wants to know how she can separate the negative aspects from these feelings and instead motivate herself.
Yes, well, this is a very complex question, and this is actually something I'm helping my clients, like to separate it from the positive and the negative part of the stress. Okay, and to be honest, it's very hard for me to answer it right now and right here. But one thing is sure: stress means energy. It means power. Okay, so this is a good thing, but exactly, like, it's a mixture of both. So you're probably somewhere in the middle. So yeah, there is no like quick answer for that now.
Right. So do you think, if I could just butt in here, do you think that it would help her if she could identify specifically what's stressing her out and maybe distance herself from those experiences, or like you mentioned, too much media attention at the moment? So do you think something like that would help her just separate the negative aspects from whatever she's feeling at the moment? Not as a solution, but as one of the things that she could do.
Yes, definitely. I think that could help. So something that I'm doing, and I also in this exercise encourage you to do, is really to go step by step in every area of your life and identify the situations that are stressful for you, or people that around you that are stressful for you, or conditions. Okay, and just write it down, pause it, and then you know it. So accordingly, you can either avoid it, or you can focus on the positive things, or you can also observe yourself, how you're handling those situations. And very often you will notice that you have your own coping strategies, that you're acting this way or the other. Well, just implement it, use it more, the coping strategy. So then the stress, like, you will keep the energy of it, but you will bring it more like into a middle and to this positive energizing part.
Thank you. Another one I think we should definitely take is someone has mentioned that he's been at home for a while now, and so balancing his work and his home roles while he's in the home environment have really become a challenge for him. So he's asked for your advice on how he can have better work-life balance during this stressful situation.
Yeah, so this was also a very, very frequent question that I was getting. So if you like, please have a look at the PhD Success blog. There is a series of blogs about staying productive while working from home, and yes, keeping this work-life balance. So just quick, very, very few advices. So, not very few, just quick advice. All right, so try to define the space where you work and the space with your family. Try to define the place. Try to define time. So maybe, and don't expect that you will work 8 hours on 10 hours, but decide to work maybe 4 hours and ask your family to give you this 4 hours to work. Okay, so this is a familiar arrangement. Another thing that sometimes helps, and it actually helps, is also, put your normal clothes. I know most of us were staying in pajamas now, but it puts you in a different energy as well. Okay, then if you have problems with concentrating and getting to job, I think that sometimes this time limit is very helpful. So there are like productivity techniques like Pomodoro, where you're stopping the time, working for 25 minutes, very concentrated, then taking 5 minutes break, then working again, for example. So working in a short periods of time, but if you're getting those 4 hours of work, just work, okay? And I think that it's much better to work for 4 hours intensively and with full focus than to try to work for 10 hours a day and just spend time in front of computer not doing much, okay? So, and I think many of us were doing that as well right now. So try to be efficient, but also allow yourself to have a time of break. Even if you think that 4 hours is not a lot, if you worked well during those 4 hours, it's already a lot, and you deserve also time for rest or for your family.
Absolutely. I really agree. I recall that when I myself started working from home, separating my work and family life while just being in that situation was really tough for me. And I would end up getting really frustrated. And it took me a while, though, until I could separate. And now I know what my work schedule is, how I spend time with my family, and that really helps. I completely agree. There's one question here that I think will help a lot of people here. And the question is, are there any exercises or activities that I can do to distract myself when I'm feeling overly stressed?
Yes. So first of all, well, there are many of them, and I think it's really up to you to analyze, like, what are the things that make you pleasure? What are the things that relax you, that help you to relax? Okay, and yes, definitely keep doing them. So for me, for example, I'm like very much exterior person, and I like hiking and running and biking. And for a long time now, I couldn't really do it. So I started to dance at home. Okay, so, and this is like very relaxing for me, and like this all energy that is there, and actually if it's not out there, it makes me just nervous. Now by dancing, it turns into something positive. So but it can be also arts and crafts, for example. It can be reading. Well, reading, it can be, you know, whatever you like and whatever helps you. Try to think of if it's exterior, try to think of a possible adaptation to do it at home.
Right. Thank you. And thank you for sharing that. For me personally, I felt that it's reading that helps me, or spending time with my cat. If any of y'all can hear him right now, this really helped me distract myself from most of the stress that I felt during this time. Another question, we do have some more time, so I would like us to take a couple more questions. This is, so someone has said that she's come across many researchers who have been asked to have, like, bring their A game and show 100% productivity even during this difficult time. So do you have any tips on how researchers can maybe stand up to their supervisors and maybe share with them that it's difficult now to take on more work than it probably would have been before the pandemic?
Yes, well, my question here will be almost like reverse. Do you think that your supervisors are working 100% of norm? Because this is also something that, like, they are humans as well, so they should be able to understand it, and probably the situation is also affecting them. So I agree, it is very, very problematic. We had also this problem here in France. So students, they wrote like a gathered letter explaining that they are actually not able to work from home the same way as they were before, or that their research actually was compromised because they cannot test participants, they cannot do experiments, manipulate. So they don't have laboratories. And so they wrote, it was like a joint action, first in the universities, but then at the national level, where they expressed it. And they actually obtained for now a half a year extension. So I think what is very important here is to clearly communicate with your supervisor, to tell him, well, I understand it's very important. It is also my goal, my ambition to finish my PhD, but unfortunately, regardless of all my efforts, I was not able to work on that or as much as I would.
Right.
It's really, I think that the communication is very important, and I think that at this point in the crisis that we are, people should be also much more comprehensive.
Right. I'm hoping that is the case here because, like this question, even I've come across a lot of people saying that either their supervisor or their institution or organization is not being too understanding at the moment for whatever reason. And it's getting really difficult for them being in such a stress-inducing environment and to have more work to do than before and not having any boundaries when it comes to work-life balance, and it's really put a lot of strain on them. So like you said, I'm hoping that since everyone is going through a similar situation, it kind of brings people together and makes them a little more empathetic towards the struggle of other people and probably be slightly more understanding than they normally would.
Yeah, if I might say something also here, it just makes me think about another thing that you said. It is also up to us to set the boundaries, okay? So also maybe just don't check your email over the weekend.
Right.
If you relax at least one day, just, okay, you will be better performing the following days. And this way, I mean, many supervisors do it, but normally this way you communicate a message that, okay, the weekend I am not answering the emails, and don't check them either, not to get stressed,
Right.
okay?
I
So set your boundaries.
Yeah, thank you. I think we have time for maybe two more questions, and I'm looking at two really interesting ones here right now. Someone has asked, what is your advice for when we have to hide our stress or how much anxiety we're experiencing when we have to hide this from our children so as not to stress them out? What would your advice be for this person?
That's a very, very interesting question. And yes, we always say that children feel it, right? Somehow. Well, something I would advise is maybe to rationalize your stress, to where it comes from. And first, take just a short time for yourself. Say, okay, like, slow down. Maybe I don't have to do all that, and so on. And so while you're with children, use it kind of like a therapy, because children, they also have like their just natural joy of life, even though just use it as the time actually to relax, if that's possible. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a very challenging question.
Can you offer any advice for people who are currently suffering from anxiety, which has been brought on by increasing death due to the pandemic, specifically if they've lost a loved one because of this crisis? Can you maybe talk to them a little bit and give some advice on how they could deal with this?
Yes. So, well, first of all, as we said, like be kind to yourself, be understandable to yourself. Also, normally now there is like a bigger danger of going into pathological sorrowing. Okay, so I will explain it. When we are losing our dear ones, okay, there is a huge loss, but we also have our normal life, our normal regular life. So we can take a couple days off, maybe two days off, maybe 5, but the life goes on. Okay, so we are like carried out by this routine. What is happening right now? The routine is broken. Okay, we don't have our routine. We are actually staying at home while sorrowing, thinking about. And this is actually a very, very dangerous situation, because there is nothing to carry us on. So it is actually very much up to you now, how you are able to overcome your sorrowing. And well, the ways to overcome it is like, yes, to focus on the positive things that we had with that person, that we shared, but also acknowledge the loss. Okay, there is a loss, and it is normal to sorrow, to cry, to feel sad. And normally the sorrowing process, it can take up to, I mean, the loss will be forever, but we feel it like 3 months, and then normally after 6 months it should get better. If after that time you're still crying very often, and then it might get to some sort of, like, call it pathological sorrowing. Okay, so then it's maybe the moment that you want to consult, you want to see someone. But before it happens, let's say that there is the period of sorrowing of 3 months is like completely normal, but keep yourself, like, try to somehow control it, try to carry on with your normal life as much as you can.
Right. Thank you, Eva. I think our last question that we can take for today before we run out of time is, so someone has said a lot is changing, and given and COVID-19 has a lot of continuous stimulation in terms of the information, and not all of it, I mean, most of it is negative. So she's asking how could we possibly stay open and accepting during these changing scenarios?
So a lot of information is negative, and so how?
Sorry,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm getting the question.
I'll just read it out again. She said, "What's your advice to live in COVID-19 in terms of changing scenarios?" So she's saying she wants to know how can we stay open and accepting with continuous change.
All right. Yes. So as I said already in my presentation, like, yes, it is changing, and I think that even our governments, they don't know well what is happening and how, and we also, like, need to adapt. So, well, what we can do, I think this was also one of my advice, is really pick up the information that are talking to you, that are appropriate to your personal situation, and that you feel that they are helping you to overcome the situation. So trust yourself and do things that seem appropriate to you right now, today. Maybe in 5 days it will be different. Maybe in a month it will be different, but it's you and it's right now.
Right. I just saw another one, which I think will be relevant to a lot of people.
I will try to be quick.
No, that's okay. I think a lot of people would want to hear your take on this. Do you have any advice on how we can avoid procrastination during these difficult times?
Yes, definitely. So this is also like a big question. And yes, many of my clients are also asking about that. And that's also relates to the previous question about setting work-life balance at home. Okay, so I think, okay, first of all, make yourself a list of things that you have to do. Then divide this list, like take one thing of this list, divide it to a very small stages, like a milestone, little goals. Okay, then set yourself time and environment. So separate room, given time, and then just do it. And it can be a small, tiny, or even easy thing. And actually start by easier things, because then at least you're starting. And usually when you're in a flow, you will continue. Okay, and just do that. And don't, yes, and just try to do that. And don't think that you need to do all of it. Okay, try to proceed by small pieces. And when you have time to work, try to work effectively, but then also take a break, reward yourself. So I think the word here will be like setting yourself tangible goals that are not scary, and setting yourself just a decent time to work.
Right.
And making yourself pleasure reward afterwards.
Thank you so much, Eva. I think we're out of time, and thank you so much for taking it. You've patiently answered each of our questions that we had for you today. And I really want to thank you for being here again and making time for this. And I'm sure you can see in the comments in the chat, everyone's really happy and they found your session really insightful. So thank you so much once again. I'd also like to remind the attendees that you should really go ahead and take our survey on mental health in academia. And if you're looking to join a safe community, you can go and check out our Facebook group called Researcher Voice, or you could alternatively check out PhD Success, which is Eva's community. And if you're looking for motivation, you should feel free to go and subscribe to our motivational calendar and get your daily dose of motivation. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.